Welcome to It's All Fine and Danjee, where we talk about community, health, culture, and all of the big and little things that make life good. Here are your hosts, Dan and Angie.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 95 of the It's All Fine and Danjee podcast. Holy smokes, we have 5 more left.
I know, to the big 100.
Yes.
That's 100.
And we've been, I don't want to sound like a booze hound, but we've been holding on to this special bottle of wine for that night. And I'm not going to lie, I'm looking forward to that.
Hey, listen, they've watched us drink wine during many episodes. I mean,
very true.
You know, it's something we do. It's okay. We're adults.
That's
we
right.
We can drink wine if we want to.
And we do that on occasion. But we are very excited for today's episode because today we have a very special guest. And I think you guys are going to find some very useful information in this interview.
Yes, especially our business owners.
Yes. Oh, indeed.
Yes.
Yeah, indeed. I would say, but even for any of you that just work in a company.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
yeah, definitely.
Her name is Wendy Sellers, and we are so excited to have her on the show. She is the HR lady, or better known as the HR lady.
That pretty much sums it up.
I know, right? With the HR Realty Consulting Agency, she does strategic HR advice, training. She's a public speaker, an author, a leadership coach, and the list goes on and on.
She has a lot of things she does.
She has quite the resume, you know.
Exciting.
So let's go ahead and bring her on now. Hi, Wendy. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
Very well. Happy Sunday, and thank you for joining us this morning. It's still morning, isn't it?
It is, I think, right?
It's still the end of the morning.
Okay. It's late morning.
You know, Sunday, though. I don't know about
Yes.
you. This is not even true, really, because on Sundays, we're up and out a lot of times, too. But we like to try to move a little slower on the weekends, if possible.
Sunday is usually our recording day for podcast stuff. So we are so happy that people are flexible and able to join us on this day because it's the weekend.
Yes.
Most people want to be out doing stuff. So
thanks for giving up some of your time today for us. We're excited to learn more about you.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
So the first thing that we always do is we want to get to know our guest a little bit and intro you to everyone listening. So tell us a little bit just about yourself, personal if you want to. You can go as deep as you want or keep it as simple as you want, whatever you're comfortable with.
Sure. So Wendy Sellers, known as the HR lady. Guess what I do?
Yeah, it's really hard to get.
Yeah, absolutely.
You should brand that
It is
title,
hard,
though, because that is that should be yours.
You know, I don't want to say it's hard, but you do a lot more than just what I would consider, I think most people would consider traditional HR, though.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would love to talk about that more. And going back on the branding, I actually have 2 trademarks on it.
Oh, you do? Oh, that's wonderful. Yes.
Yep,
I would say snatch that up.
Yep. So I have 2 trademarks on the HR lady. Been doing HR forever, kind of fell into it. And that's how I met Dan a long time ago. Literally met a recruiter in an elevator, and I had a paper resume. Remember those?
That's a real elevator pitch. Actually.
Yeah. I was literally in an elevator going to an interview somewhere else. And a recruiter, a headhunter happened to be standing next to me and said, what do you do? And at that time I did not do HR. I'm like, I need a job. And that's somebody where Dan works now, where I used to work. It was his ex-wife, and he was one of the owners. And she said, oh, my ex-husband needs an HR person. All right, put me in. And that is literally how I got started in HR.
Oh my God. What a story. You weren't even looking for that job. You're just like something.
I was in retail management previously and restaurant. And then my goal was healthcare, but it never really, I started going down that route and decided it wasn't for me. So every time I was in retail or restaurant management, I ended up on the people side. So I kind of, was leaning there. I just wasn't formally there. But yeah, that's literally how I started becoming the HR lady. And then at that job, we were small at that time. There wasn't really any titles, and everybody just was like, go to the HR lady.
So, they just made that title up for you. That is amazing.
And here I am, how many years later with books and a company called the HR lady. Trademarks, very interesting, but I love what I do.
Cool. Yeah, because I was going to say, usually when we're in retail, I was in retail for years, and I love certain aspects of retail. The people part, I love. Some of the other stuff, not so
Not
much.
so much,
You
of
know,
course.
so it's kind of like you got in a position that you enjoyed because you got to deal with people.
Yeah, and it's funny. I always tell everybody, especially people that are hiring for, entry level or any kind of person. I'm like, if you could find somebody who liked and did well in retail or restaurant, they can literally do anything.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
We are the jack of all trades,
Yeah.
or Jills of all trades, whatever.
I could see that. I could definitely see that. Matt Sharkey came from that side of the world too, who's one of our main IT guys now. So there's definitely some truth to that.
It is, because you've got to deal with not only your own people, but your customers. And so you can, if you can end up in retail or restaurant and not fail, even if you just tolerate it, you can learn to do anything. That's my opinion. So I'm really concentrating really hard with a lot of my clients who are super busy because of COVID, so healthcare and manufacturing, and saying, let's take the unemployed restaurant and retail workers who can, do anything, deal with any kind of drama, any kind of situation. Let's just train them over here where we don't have people. They already have the people skills. Now we just got to train them for the technical skills.
Oh,
wow.
That's great.
Yeah, that's also one of those things where it seems like you just landed in the career that's really cut out for you, because even your experience from that, like, who would know that? Who would know that?
I would know that.
Would you though?
That somebody that can hack retail can hack anything.
Oh, yeah. So,
because you're asked to do, especially if you're in retail management, you're asked to do so many different jobs that you're really not trained for.
No, I got you.
Oh, here, do inventory. Here, do, learn this new scheduling app. Here, do, it's so many different things.
Well, you know what, though?
Unload the box truck at 3 a.m. because we're not allowed to let anybody else do it.
Yes, exactly. And they just move around. They just do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, no, I guess what I meant, because I know, you're a multitasker and you're really good at speeding up the production process and getting people to be able to do more. So I know that side of it. I guess what I meant was, as it relates to like another business, I would have never thought, and maybe you would have, but with your past experience, knowing from what I used to do when you're talking to businesses, especially like you said now, to go pluck people from that industry that aren't working right now and say, I know they don't have any experience in this, but trust me, they can do it because of what they were able to do on the retail side. That's really interesting.
Is that an easy sell to companies, or, how are you able to get them to take that chance?
When they have high turnover with the old way they were doing things. Because they're like, so I have healthcare, and I have a lot of different clients, but two of my industries are healthcare and manufacturing. And they are literally like, listen, we could teach them to do the job. Now, maybe can't teach them to be a nurse, right? But they could teach them to be a home health aide. It's just it's a short certification, certified nursing assistants, all of that. And they're like, we will pay for that, for them to get that, and we will train them in-house and then pay for them to get the certification. Their issues are usually the people part, that they don't get along with coworkers, or they just don't like people. Well, if you don't like people, you can't be in a nursing home, right?
Yeah.
True. Very true.
You got to really like people, and you got to really like elderly people, and possibly elderly people who are sick or might have dementia. And then in manufacturing, a lot of it is the same thing. If you get your foot in the door, literally filling boxes or product, it's just about getting along with other people that will end up letting you go up the leadership roles. So I don't voluntarily work with clients who are not flexible and adaptable. And I also obviously wouldn't work with anybody who would be knowingly not diverse, equitable, or inclusive. And if I find that out, then
I love that.
Yeah, I just I have it's not about money for me. I learned that quickly, becoming my own business. I was like, okay, I can go out and help people. I know I can, but I'm probably going to be broke for a while. So and that did hold true, but I was prepared for it, and then, became successful. And it's funny and not funny during COVID. I need a nap. I need a nap right now, because the past year
Wow.
10 months has been so busy just helping people get through it.
Yeah.
And a lot of the stuff I just did for free because it was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Love
And,
it.
so every year, well, and for the viewers that are on, I live in my RV by choice. And we could talk about that in a
Yeah,
minute.
we are going to talk about that. Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
So, but that also gives me the little bit of the liberty to say, okay, if I have a bad couple months, I'm going to be okay.
Yeah.
And that's
can
how I
sustain
think.
yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. I always think about, let's deal with the worst case scenario and then hope for the best, where other people think about the best only, and then they're not prepared for the worst.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
so I really thought last year was going to be like, okay, everybody's out, everybody's canceling everything, but it turned out to be quite the opposite.
I
You
love
know,
that.
that's funny because we have found that with a lot of our smaller businesses, and some people we've interviewed have a business has been born from last year.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We had James Hicks on, and he started his own wealth and management
Yep.
company due to what was going on last year, because people were like, uh-oh,
I want to save money.
now I can see that we can be struck with something like this.
Yeah.
Where this is the real world, right?
Yep.
And I need to be more careful with my finances.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. We've heard a lot of positive stories, like you're telling us, that their business is kind of booming from what happened
and
last year.
as you can imagine, I work in IT, but the IT side of things has gone up because now everyone's at home and doesn't know how to
Yes.
use their equipment and everything. So I love that kind of worked. It sounds like it worked in your favor. In a way, did business increase, or did it just kind of stay the same throughout all this?
It changed. So it was interesting. Right before COVID, I said, something's got to give. I'm on the road all the time. I'm all over the state, visiting my clients, doing trainings, all this stuff. So let me back up here a minute and just tell you a little bit what I do. So what I typically do is I work with companies that don't have HR. And so
Yeah.
I'm their HR advisor. I help them get systems set up. And then I'm
Okay.
the, fix these people problems. And then on the other hand, so that's about half of my business. The other half of my business, they may or may not have HR, but I'm doing leadership training. So I'm trying to train people who either have some management training, some supervisory, or none, and trying to get them to common sense, real life leadership training,
I
not
love that.
a 4-year degree, not all this crazy stuff. Like, hey, this is what you're going to learn in college. This is what really happens.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that was one of my questions. I'm going to jump ahead a little bit because I
Sure.
did want to ask you specifically about that leadership stuff. So,
Mhm.
in my, I've been in a leadership position in my company for a very long time, and in my opinion, it's almost an art to do it properly. Now, this is again my opinion. I know you've got a lot more experience than I do on this, but to be sort of supportive and uplifting to my team, but also making sure that people are on track, especially when they're working from home now and you can't see them as much. And me, I've been working with a remote team for a long time, but to be able to lead by example, to be able to motivate the team to get the job done, but also to be able to stay on top of them enough to say, hey, what's going on? I haven't seen really anything from you
Yeah.
in the past week. What have you been doing? To me, it's like an art. It's a balancing act to determine, exactly what that is. And I guess what I wanted to ask you is, doing this in this time of COVID, where you're meeting with leaders and you're trying to teach them how to be leaders, has the language changed for you when you're trying to teach them how to manage people that may not be someone in the same office with them? Are you seeing a lot of companies that have a lot of work from home and now they're having to try to do leadership skills in a way that are different than they did before?
So yes and no. So the first, is it different? No, it's the same exact thing. Here's the
Okay.
number one thing that I hear day after day after day, and you're not going to be surprised, is communication.
Yeah.
Communication, communication, communication. So the people who think that they can only manage their employees if they're in front of them is because they don't trust. They don't
Yeah.
trust their
Yeah.
employees, and they don't know how to communicate without, spying on them, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah, good point.
And so now, for the industries that were able to work from home and are continuing to work from home, if you had a manager, and I say manager in title because they really aren't a leader, because leaders know how to communicate. If
Yeah.
they're like, oh, my people aren't around me, I don't now I'm freaking out. I don't know what they're doing. Well, again, grab that mirror. You seem to be part of the problem. It's not the employee, it's you.
Yeah.
Now, with that said, everybody has different personality styles. So some people do better when they're with people, talking to them and everything. And then other people do better when they're kind of by themselves in a little cave and they get a lot more done.
Like a programmer.
Yeah, exactly. So virtual has changed that dynamics for the people who get more work done and prefer to be left alone. They're rocking. They're like, this is awesome. My manager's not bothering me.
Yeah.
Because my manager doesn't know how to use Zoom.
Right.
But you know what I found when I was a manager in retail is I wanted my assistants or my key holders or really anybody that was interested in kind of learning more about the business side. I wanted them to be able to do the job I could do, because then that would, if they wanted to move up, they could, but then I don't have to worry about stuff as much. I don't have to do that shadowing and that micromanaging because I know they were trained properly.
Yeah.
And they can do it if I'm not there.
Yeah.
So I think that is, the cool way that you're teaching people to do things is, hey.
Yeah. I just was with a client in person, actually, Thursday and Friday in Sarasota. And one of the last items we were talking about, and in fact, right before this show, I just put it on YouTube, a quick 1-minute video about delegation. And that with delegation, in order to get stuff done, especially the important stuff, the high value stuff, we have to delegate. In order to delegate, that means we have to train. In order to train, we have to coach. In order to coach, we have to trust. And that trust part is where it breaks down, because I'll do it better myself. And it's like, okay, you're not a leader then. You're the taskmaster. That's it. And you happen to have a fancy title, but everybody knows you're not a leader. And you might want to grab the mirror and figure that out yourself. If you want to be the true leader, you need to delegate. And Dan, going back to one of your questions a few minutes ago, management has changed. Leadership has changed really over the past, 2 decades. It used to be way, way back in the old days, and nobody really knows when the old days are, but it used to be you have 80% of your job is your job and 20% is management. And now it's flipped. Now it's flipped of, if you're a manager, especially if you're a leader, 80% of your job is managing, dealing, communicating with human beings. And 20% is getting things done. And what I see is we promote people and we go, oh, you're going to be a manager. And then they fail. And it's like, well, they just took the management title because it was more money and you didn't offer them something else. And then, but you also didn't take anything off their plate. And so eventually, we crumble and we just say, I'm out of here. I'm going to go somewhere else.
Yeah. So, more is expected.
It's almost a miracle that we made it. It was like trial by fire back in our back in our sort of scenario. But this all speaks very closely to me. I know a lot of the listeners will find value in this, but it speaks very closely to me because I guess maybe just out of sheer habit or luck, even prior to COVID, I'm talking with my team as a whole, individually, regularly, enough to get that sort of trust, I guess is what it is. I didn't even realize that till you said it, where I know person A, I know them, they're on my team. I've talked to them enough to know they are going to handle it. I don't have to get involved. And I think
that's part of being a good leader too, though, is that you either hire the people and train them properly so that that job is going to get done properly, and then you can leave them to do their own thing.
Right. Okay? And the other thing I'll do, which you may or may not recommend, is I'll say, let me know if you need me. I'm here for you if you get in a bind.
No, I definitely do recommend that. But to go even a step further there, you have to know each of your individual employees' personalities and their characteristics, so that if one would never call you because it would be mortifying to them, then you have to, call them more often.
Sure.
Or say, hey, I see this going on. I want to help. And then there's other ones that are like, I'll call you when I need you. And so, we have these human beings with these feelings and personalities and age differences and background differences and gender differences. And, do I have 10 people living in my house? Do I have one person? What country did I come from? What language do I speak? We have all this stuff. And it's like,
do I have teenagers? Yes, exactly.
Am I working from home? Are there people in my house working from home? And, are my kids at school or my kids are doing school at home? So it's just this whole mishmash of feelings, which some of us, me, don't do well with. And we have to say, we have people in the maroon shirts don't do well with.
We try. We try. We do try.
I am the same way, though. I really am. And I think that's why, to me, I say on one hand, I have a hard time with the feelings, but on the other hand, I do want my team and all my teammates to know that I care about them. And I it's not just the job, and maybe I'm in a lucky position because I have that smaller team that's worked their way up through. And so they're kind of specialists by the time they get to me. I can't imagine starting just with a group of people and having to do what you're training people to do. And have all that, consider the feelings, consider the way we're working. I almost feel like it's been easier in my career because of the general atmosphere of what we do. But I'm sure dealing with all these different types of scenarios for you, it's more of that sort of training and stuff that you're saying. You're starting from ground zero in some cases, I'm sure.
I wanted to ask about that. Like, what does that look like when you go into a company? Because you said usually they don't have an HR department. So you're basically focusing on like, maybe restructuring the way their leadership is. What does it look like when you go in? Do you sit down with the whole team, with individuals? Tell us a little bit about what that looks like.
So every situation's different, right? But I ask a lot of questions, because the person who's hiring me, especially in small businesses, is usually the owner. If they're not self-aware, it's not going to work. It's just not. I've already learned that. Like I'm already sitting there while they're talking, going, "Okay, you're part of the problem." And I'm to the point in my career that I actually say that. And depending on how they react is how I'm going to move forward or choose not to move forward. It really is. So, I have many people call me and say, I'm part of the problem. They've usually read my book or something or something.
And they already know. Yeah.
They already know that I'm like, my one book, Suck It Up Buttercup, says right on the top line of the back, on the back cover says, you might be part of the problem.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So they already know I'm going to call them out on it. And if they're not ready for it, we don't work together. And, I just had a new client call me the other day, and I looked up when the first time they were referred to me, and it was like in September. So I think we just had a conversation. I usually give them free information because I can't help myself. And then they have to think about it. And like, I could fix this myself. Well, how many months later comes me, all right, I need your help. Okay, let's do it.
What this reminds me of? Do you ever seen Restaurant Impossible? Well, the reason it reminds me of that is because in the same way, if the owner, manager, head person is aware that they're making the mess or they're contributing to it, at least, there's always successful. Yeah. But when the manager it's everyone else's fault, they do all this work and leave. And then at the end, there's these words that say the restaurant changed back later and they all failed and closed. Yep. So it's interesting to me that, and I like that you just say up front,
just like Robert
isn't going to work. Yeah.
Irvine.
Yeah.
Irvine.
Robert Irvine. He just tells me like it is.
And there's sometimes I'm like, am I going to say it? And especially times of like COVID or something going on, and you see like money going out the door, and I'm like, I don't care. Have
you ever said that and had the owner go, I am, and wasn't self-aware, but now they're listening and maybe they're thinking, okay, well, let's fix that too. Have you had some?
Yeah, absolutely. Now there are times that I have to tone myself down to get them to listen. Right.
Of course.
And so if I've already assessed that, okay, this person is kind of in denial and they're a sensitive person, or they're the one that's going to, go off the chain and flip out. I have to, I usually have to approach it in a different manner. When when I could connect their problems with their revenue, the ones that are I only care about money, they're suddenly listening.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, self-aware through finances.
Yeah, so Wendy, that thing that you do where like things are just going to come out, I call that word vomit.
Yeah.
I used that like
sometimes
5 times this week.
Yeah, it comes out and you're just like, crap. I mean, should I have said it like that? But oh well, it's there now. What am I going to do about it?
You've been doing this long enough now to probably see those things. And just and forgive me if we're recapping, but when did you start this whole working as a consultant thing?
Geez, it's been almost 10 years.
Wow.
It's been almost 10 years. So I for the listeners on the show, I used to work with Dan and I work in a great company that you're still in.
Seems like about 2 years ago, and that's the way life works.
I know, right? But we had really great leaders who, even though they may have been winging it at the time, they really cared about the people, and they got out of our way when necessary and got in our way when necessary. And I learned a lot from them. They gave all of us chances that some of us didn't deserve, right? And then during one of the recessions, things changed, and I said, you know what, I'm going to go somewhere else. And it was singly the best and worst decision of my HR career.
Wow.
The worst because I went to a horrible culture. The best because I figured out quickly it was a horrible culture, and I said, this is what the rest of the world is complaining about.
Because you were living in a bubble in our old
I was living in a bubble, exactly, a very protected bubble. And then I just said, you know what? Oh, this is what everybody's talking about, and I think I can go help them. And
what a great sort of path for you, though, because coming from
you went from one extreme to the next,
right? But also knowing, I'm gonna plug in that piece about the restaurant the retail business and retail management. You got that. You've got a company you were with where the culture was great. You got a company you're with where the culture was terrible. So when you go to do this, you've had the experience. You can recognize right away, are you one or the other? Are you in between? Which one are you more like? And what do you need to change it? That's cool. It's like sounds like a terrible experience, but it seems like it was fundamental in getting you to be able to do this.
It really was. And that's why, when I answer the question is the worst and best experience of my professional career, because it brought me to where I am today. But yeah, I've been doing this for almost 10 years. I love it.
Wow.
Right before the pandemic, the end of 2019, I started saying that I was just traveling all over the place. And, when you're traveling a lot, you're talking and you're doing all this stuff, but then you get home and you got to do all the work. And I was just exhausted. And I said to a friend, another HR leadership consultant, I said, something's got to change. Like, I can't keep this up. She's like, go virtual. What? And I'm like, they're not going to do it. So I literally came home that night and changed my entire website, dropped my rates, and announced that I was going to go virtual. And I got a client that night in New York.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
But people do love the virtual because they don't have, you know what I mean?
It's less investment too, really.
It's less investment. Yeah. There's, you don't have to get ready and go anywhere. You are from the comfort of your office or your home. I mean, I really think, and I believe a lot of businesses because of COVID are learning now, which your company has, that people working at home is actually working out.
Yeah. If you're, and that's the experience we've been through. But if your company is maintaining or even growing and excelling and maybe doing better than it was, before COVID, I think a lot of realization for a lot of companies is the single most important thing, the single most expensive thing in a company is usually real estate. And we don't need as much now. So I love that right away. So that was almost like the sign you needed to know this is the way to go. And is that what you've been doing ever since, or you do both in person and virtual?
I do. So the first couple months of that, I would say half of my clients went virtual. They're like, yeah, we'll go virtual. Absolutely. They already trust me, know me, all that stuff, and drop the rates. And then I still had a few that were dragging their feet. And then COVID hit. And so
I pushed you into it. Yeah.
Well, they had no choice. Because
push them in. I mean,
push them in.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say 90%, maybe 85% of my business is virtual. If you want me on site, you're going to pay a lot more. And and it's usually so I was just down in Sarasota Thursday and Friday at a healthcare company, actually a healthcare product company, doing in-person training for first level managers. And then I'm going back in like 6 weeks for the leaders. And it's all the same topics. It's just a little bit of a different conversation. And then we also had to do social distancing. So, but there is something a little bit different of doing it in person, but with all the technology that we have now, like I use Zoom, there's breakout rooms. So you could still have the small group conversations, quizzes, all that stuff. So it's, some people just want it on site, but if you do want me on site, it's going to be more expensive. However, you cannot have me on site June or July of this year because I will be traveling across the country in my RV.
Yeah, let's chat. That's one of our questions. So,
well, before we get into that, can we talk a little bit more about the public speaking? Because I had a question about so your public speaking. How does that work virtually? Because I mean, do they just put you on a screen in front of a bunch of people, or is that part always in person?
No, it's both now. It's pre-COVID, it was always in person. That was it. They wanted you in person, and you had a full. You usually had a breakfast, lunch, dinner, something, a conference. Full room. That all changed.
Sorry.
Gonna have to edit that out.
Sorry, I tried.
Sorry.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Pre-COVID, everything was in person. Post-COVID or during COVID, that changed drastically. All the conferences were canceled, meetings canceled. And so people did move to virtual platforms. But that was another interesting thing. A couple of years ago, after I wrote my first book, I really started doing even more public speaking. And I was like, hey, maybe I'll make the switch to public speaking. And I was in this speakers group, and I went to like a happy hour or something. And this guy, I don't even know who it was. I can't even tell you who it is right now. He pulled me aside and he said, don't make the switch completely, make it half and half. He's like, because if something happens, you're going to regret it. And I'm so glad he told me that, because all these people that I know that only do speaking are financially in major duress right now.
That was good advice. Thank you, Guy.
Thank you, Guy. I have no clue who you are. No idea, but random guy in the black shirt. Thank you for telling me that. But because of COVID, a lot of conferences went virtual. So some conferences are half and half. So I spoke at a conference that was half and half, but most of the attendees actually were virtual. So I'm like, why are we wasting our money of doing all of this? But yeah, I'm doing a lot of conferences now. I do have, I actually have the speaker and the headphones that you guys have and everything.
Yeah.
But if I do a lot of online training with a couple companies that outsource to me. And I have a quieter room in my RV, and then I have a backdrop too. So, but it's kind of, it's like a corner of my bedroom. And it's kind of boring back there. So I only do it when I have to.
Sure.
Now, I'm curious about when you do those speaking engagements. Is that something you're invited to, or do you find places that you'd like to speak at? How does it work? Because I'm not completely clear on that.
There's both. There's a lot of platforms that speakers can join, and then conferences or whoever can find speakers there for a fee. Most of mine are referrals. When I started going down the road of, do I want to be, only doing speaking, I quickly realized that I didn't really enjoy that, because I like to share, this just happened yesterday with one of my clients, and this is how you can handle it. Like, I like to share real life experiences that I am intimately familiar with. So I'm not just giving, a line to people.
Or a lecture.
Or a lecture. So I realized, like, I don't want to just be a speaker. And there's many speakers that are just phenomenal and they get paid a lot of money. But I really like being in the guts of the drama and, helping leaders and managers. I love when I see a manager, especially a new manager, go, hey, I used that tool and I fixed it. Yeah.
Oh,
You didn't
that's
have to call
amazing.
Oh,
me.
no doubt.
So it's usually like management or the leaders of a company that you're kind of giving those speeches to, or
Yeah.
are you trying to be, is it motivational? Is it more to try to correct something? Like, what is it? What does one of your typical
I'm not a big motivational speaker. I'm more of, hey, this is how you fix this problem. First of all, you grab a mirror, you grab a mirror,
Yeah.
figure out how you've caused it, and then you go apologize. And then this is what you do, depending on what the issue is. So, that might motivate people. I don't know, but I don't
kind of like self-reflection, like you're getting them to take a good, long, hard look at themselves and admit some flaws that they may have possibly, which is a hard thing for most of us to do.
And you know what? Oh, I agree. But I think of course you have other scenarios where it's not the leader. I guess the leader has enabled the problem by, even if they're not, otherwise part of it, you have to dig in and say, okay, well, this is part of the problem. It's this staff member, or is it ever like that? Like it's,
oh yeah.
Drama in the workplace.
You get two people in a room or in a virtual room, and there's something's bound to go wrong, and it's not necessarily anybody's fault. It's just maybe the way the person A communicated or did not communicate to person B, and then how did person B assume that was supposed to go, or they assumed they didn't tell me this because they don't like me or whatever. So a lot of training that I also do is managing up. So it's not just about managing down, but it's how do you manage up, because the person above you is still a human being. And how do we learn? What's the thing that we always say? We learn by
failing. Yeah.
By making mistakes. Yeah. And then for some reason, as a manager, we're mad when our employees make mistakes.
So we used to, a term that we always used in the retail side was coaching in the moment.
Yeah.
If you see your employees doing something wrong, don't wait till their review to tell them they're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
Coach in that moment, because they're not going to know they're doing it wrong until the end of the year.
They're going to keep doing it wrong until then.
Yeah.
Right.
Correct the problem right then. Then if they continue, they're just not getting it. Like something is up. They're just being rebellious or just, whatever it is. But coach right in that moment. As soon as you see something doing them, and don't do it harshly, just, redirect, show them the right way, and then keep observing.
And that's communication.
That's it.
And it's also a few other things on that is, also do it privately if possible. Because, criticism is actually not feedback. And there are scientific studies done that criticism actually smothers our brain. And so when you're criticizing people over and over again, I always use this silly analogy. Okay, you just got a French speaking client and now you need your employee to speak French. Well, you criticizing them and telling them they don't know how to speak French isn't going to help them. They're not going to come back and say, okay, now I know how to speak French. No, you need to get them training or, get somebody else to do it. And then you mentioned about reviews. I am probably the only HR person I know that hates reviews. Reviews are completely useless. And here's the reason why. The reason why is because most people wait 11 months and 30 days to say something.
Yes.
And it's like, if your company does do annual reviews, and I don't call them performance reviews, I call them employee reviews, because they should be performance and behavior. Behavior is usually what gets us in trouble, not performance. But if your employee or your employer does do annual reviews, and like some employers have to because they might have a government contract or a public organizations, a lot of their bylaws say you have to have an annual review. That's fine, but it should just be a recap of your quarterly reviews or your monthly reviews.
Yes.
Be no surprise that, hey, I'm not doing good.
I used to do touch bases with it wasn't even necessarily required by, my higher ups, but I just like once a month wanted to know, make sure everything was running smoothly.
Well, I think that lands right in line with what you're saying, Wendy. Not to sound like I have it all zipped up, but for me, annual reviews, which I'm required to do with my staff, have always been easy because there are no surprises. I feel like it's just going, yep, you're still doing good. Yep, you still got that thing. Oh, you're doing better on the thing we talked about. But I feel like it's almost a betrayal of the trust that they have in you to go, I've been noticing something for 6 months and I'm going to tell you about it now. It's like, dude, why didn't you tell me that 6 months ago?
Why didn't you tell me the moment you saw me do it?
So I'm with you. For me, annual reviews are easy because it's like, yeah, you already know this. We already talked about this. We're all good with it. And you know what I mean? It's quick.
Especially us who think we're doing everything perfectly and great. You know, me.
Yeah.
Right here. This lady. Yeah, I'm great at this. Woohoo. You know,
because
I need to know right then. I need to correct it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because everybody could read minds, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So how did all of this lead to writing the books that you've written? You've got 2 books written. The first one is Suck It Up Buttercup. I love the title. I love the title of the second one too, but we're not going to say that one.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah. So this is my first book, Suck It Up Buttercup, Be a Leader, People Will Follow. So, I was doing a lot of speaking, a lot of coaching, all this stuff. And somebody said, you need to write a book. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do it. Like, you need to write a book. Okay. I put it, that's it. I was just like, I'm going to do it. Yeah. So I shared that goal with 1 or 2 people who held me accountable. A friend of mine actually is in the book writing business. And so she helped me create a backward plan, which I avoided promptly until literally, days before the deadline. So what I was doing is every time I was out speaking and I got like great feedback, I would literally go into my car driving away from that conference or training. And I did talk to text and recorded words. And then I would just email it to myself, or I bought this little recorder and then I would record what I was excited about. And then, did that for like a couple months. And then I had to dissect all of it and figure out what was I trying to say here?
How do I store?
Yeah. And so, I wanted to make sure it was super easy to read, small. And I also, because I say Suck It Up Buttercup a lot, I wanted it to be Suck It Up Buttercup. And so the people who say that are usually jerks. I mean, and they're usually saying it because, they're like, oh, suck it up, Buttercup. You can get through this, or, deal with it. And so I'm like, okay, when you open the book, you're going to be in shock because it's actually against you.
Well, I need to read it.
Yeah.
I say deal with it a lot.
But
like, get over it. Just freaking deal with it. Like, that's life.
You need to read it.
I need to read it. Yeah. It's funny because I've had this conversation with like multiple people at work. I've had it here. About anxiety. We're talking about anxiety and how, to me, everybody in the world has anxiety right now, or always has anxiety about something. And I don't understand it because I don't have it. I've never had anxiety.
Right.
And so I really need to become more empathetic towards people who have anxiety. Because you know what I would say to them? Suck it up, Buttercup.
Well, I think
it's the real world. It's going to eat you alive. Like, this is how I think, but I want to have some, empathy towards it. You know what I mean? Like, it's really hard for me.
I think that's why that book seems like it's good for, because we all say that in some category. Anything that we're like, are you kidding me, dude?
If it's something you can handle, but somebody else can't handle it, you're like, what? Come on.
Or if you think it should have gone a different way as it relates to business, like, I wanted it to go this way. You wanted to go that way. I'm in charge. Suck it up. So,
Absolutely. Let me read you the back cover a little bit.
Please do.
Okay.
Suck it up, Buttercup. You might be part of the problem. Dominant, direct leaders who don't get emotional get the job done, right? Take charge and cut to the chase, right? Other people who allow their emotions to get in the way of business need to just suck it up, right? Wrong.
Oh, wow. I love that it says wrong.
Very direct.
Yeah. And then it basically says, that Wendy Sellers is often heard saying suck it up, Buttercup, but the phrase is taken a whole new meaning. In the past, it was directed at what she believed were inept employees. Now it is directed at the true root cause, inept leaders. So, that's kind of, And, in my book, in both of my books, I talk about personality styles and then personality traits as well. Mm-hmm. And I am a huge believer in the DISC personality scale. And so
I was going to ask what that was, because I saw that on the website.
Yeah, I mean, it changed my life. It changed my life when I, did this. Geez, I don't even know, maybe 15 years ago. And so there's 4 categories, and there's a lot of different other assessments, and they're all similar, but they're called something else. So
Is this the one that has like action, harmony?
No, that's another one. This one is dominant, influential, supportive, or conscientious. And so, if you do a circle, there's on the top is D and I, and they're very fast paced. And then on the bottom is the S and the C, and they're more methodical in their decision making. Right there alone is a clash.
Yeah,
sure.
If you have the I and then the S, they're feelings first, and then the other 2 are facts first. So those clash. So I'm a solid D, off the circle, nowhere close to slow, nowhere close to feelings.
That's where I am.
Yeah,
that's where I am too. That's why we're so lucky with all that, but not everybody is. Yeah,
it's absolutely. And so it really makes me. That's the first thing I do when I'm talking to somebody, even in my personal life. I don't even think I know I'm doing it. I'm just assessing like, okay, how does this person prefer to this conversation to go? Do I need to talk about their family? Do I need to chit chat? Do I need to get to the cut to the chase? And then now you have 1 employee. Now you have 2 employees. Now you have 5 employees. Now you have 30 employees. And you're like, oh boy, my head's spinning. And so yeah, it's interesting. I've had some clients where I've done the training, even when I do the unofficial training and they don't get the official assessments, that they literally go and create signs and put them on everybody's cube or now on their Zoom profile. And, they have fun with it, so they can go, okay, we're going to make this crystal clear of how we like to be communicated with.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I wish you could do that in real life, just walking around with a sign or.
Yeah, they do that at the place I work. When I first went in for my interview, they, had me rate myself like what I was. And I'm like reading the thing and I'm like, well, there was like an action and a harmony. And I put those 2 as like the 2, because I do like it to be very like everybody getting along at work and just do your job. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm action. I'm like the D, right? Like go. Yep. There's no feelings involved at work. Like, let's just like do your job, like just move along.
There's no crying in baseball. Right.
There's no crying in baseball.
Yeah. And there's also with the D's, there's get it done now. And then we go, we should probably research that a little bit. And the S's and C's are going, oh yeah, that's what I've been trying to tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God. This is incredibly enlightening for me.
It's nice to know though, how, and this is something you do as a team so that everybody knows how everybody else likes to communicate. So that person, you better give them some details when you send them an email. Because if you just say, hey, can you get that thing done I told you about? What are you talking about? You need to detail it out because they want the specifics. That's like you do like that. You want the specifics, So
I have to know why I'm doing something. I'm not. Yeah.
So I think
everybody should know why they're being told to do something, unless it's super confidential. Then that's when you say, I'm sorry, I can't tell you, but I need this done. Okay, that's fine. Yeah. Or if you're in a top secret business, but the days of do it because I told you so. Yeah. Good luck with that. It doesn't work with your kids. It's not going to work with your employees. Yeah. They're gone. We're in the information age. And if you can't provide information about somebody's job, grab a mirror. You are part of the problem.
Yeah. I love that.
Because also I think it is for me, it's I hold a management position, but as an employee of my manager, it's my reputation. Like, I'm not going to just go do something. I need to have an understanding here, because if I get questioned or if I question myself as to why I'm doing it, I need to know what those answers are and I need to feel good about it. So, I agree with you there. I think this is enlightening for me, even just like in your personal life with your family or your kids or whatever, because I am in the D category too. And I tend to get irritated when it's too touchy feely and emotional support kind of. I've never been a person that knows how to deal with that very well, as you know. So it's interesting to
and I'm a very much just get over it. Suck it. Just please.
But it's interesting to hear that you simply can't. I would love a world where we could do that. Yeah. And it just worked. but
You
there are
wish everybody
personalities.
could wear a little tag.
That's what I was
right?
saying. With the
like
which
a
one
little.
are you? DIS or C? Which
Yeah.
one are you?
World would be so much better, so much of a better place. You are studying it.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're a leader or business owner listening to this, you can do it at work, right? You can say, "Hey, we're going to do this assessment," and it's just an amazing tool. So in my book, "Suck It Up, Buttercup," I talk about that, and then in my other book, I talk about introvert, extrovert, and ambivert. And there's all that you got to take into consideration.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I do 100% of the time, every day of my life with my clients, and then in both of my books, is talk about company values. I mentioned before I mentioned before that, like, I don't believe in performance reviews. I believe in performance and behavior reviews. And the behavior comes from the company values.
Yes.
So if you don't have a formal set of company values, then you do not have a formal set of behavior. And so get it.
Okay.
My second book, which we will not discuss the title because there's a curse word in it, literally has a step-by-step how to create your company values based through an employee-based committee. So you can buy the book both of the books on Amazon. Just search my name, Wendy Sellers. Yeah. And you can learn on your own how to do a set of company values. And then what do I do with that? And you use it in everything from hiring to feedback sessions, to formal reviews, informal reviews, all the way to retirement or termination, whichever comes first.
The only thing I wanted to add on top of that about the values is I still have a copy of our old family rules pinned up in my office, but I've cut the company name off the top of it because we're not that company anymore. And
they
it's
were
not
called
the same.
They
were called Our Family Rules, and it was a play on word, like Our Family Rules and Our Family Rules. And it was really good stuff. Just like Wendy's saying, like, I remember one of them was do what you say you're going to do. It's that simple. It's that simple. And I just loved that. And I love that that's something you promote, because I would agree. If you don't, we can assume that we know what our employees, values are as it relates to their position in the company, but we're probably going to assume wrong if we haven't. So
if you haven't established something. Yeah, definitely.
So I love that you, that's still in play, and maybe it started with you too. I don't know. You probably helped write it.
Yeah,
I did it.
Did.
Oh, very cool. Very cool.
Very nice.
So earlier you said that, you travel in an RV and that you'll be traveling cross country soon. So I wanted to talk about it a little bit, because that's our dream. Like, that's what we want to do eventually when the kids have moved out and we're ready to, retire and just travel around. It sounds like just so amazing. How did that start? And also, when you are traveling, do you work in different states? Because you seem like somebody that can never stop talking about what you do.
Yeah,
because you love it. So do you have clients in other states as you're traveling, or do you take that as real downtime? Like, how are you working this RV lifestyle?
So I've been living in my RV for about 4.5 years now. It was supposed to be a temporary situation till I figure out where I wanted to live. And I, I mean, it's 4.5 years temporary. I'm not going back. I'm not going back to traditional housing. I absolutely love it. It is not for everybody at all. Yeah. I live by myself currently with a adopted rescue cat. And so if I had another human being in here all the time, I don't know if I could handle it. But so you two better really like each other.
We're going to rent one.
We're going to take trial runs to see
one.
How we do.
Yeah, definitely rent one. So for the past 4.5 years, I've been working out of my RV. It's my office as well. But I'm permanently in a location. I was in Sanford for a while at a really cool place. And then, but because I was traveling by car all the time too, all the construction on 46 was just, it was mind-boggling and stressful. So I decided to move an hour away, and I live in Sumter County in Wildwood, Florida, by the Villages next to Leesburg, at a tiny park up here on a lake. And it helped me do a few things. It helped me say no to meetings, on-site meetings. This was even before I was virtual. It helped me pull myself away from all these organizations that I was in that, while they were great, they just sucked the life out of me and the time. And so, because I was like, oh, I'm sorry, I live in a different, county, several counties away now.
Easier to say no.
Much easier to say no. And then again, it helped me realize I need to go virtual. So I'm permanently parked here. And so I have internet, it's all through a cord and everything. Now I was just on the road as I took my RV last week on a road trip for a week because I haven't moved it for almost a year because of COVID. Sure. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to take it on the road. I'm going to work from my RV in some other place where I don't have, an actual hard wired internet. Yeah. And then I'm going to see what breaks on my RV in the meantime, because now I'm going to be taking it, for 2 months straight. So things broke, things happened. Got through it. Figured definitely I have a long list of items I need to buy, consider. Where I was, they didn't have internet and there was no Wi-Fi. So I have unlimited on my phone, mobile hotspot. Well, that ran out in 3 days.
Oh, wow. With video, sure.
Well, it was good to discover all these things. Before you go on the long haul, right?
But again, just like you said at the beginning that you prepared for, you in your mind, at least you prepared, things are going to break. But I hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just made sure last week that I didn't have any live trainings or any recorded trainings that would be like an audio glitch. And so then now I have now I have some other backup plans. What I'm going to do for I'm going to take my RV again in a couple, maybe in a month to now that we broke these things, let's take it again and see what else we got to do. And then I'm going to go from June to July to California, and then July to the month of July back. So I'm pretty much skirting the bottom of the United States. And I'll be working from the road. I was only going to go for a month. And then since COVID and I was able to work virtually almost, 100% of the time, I said, let me just take my time and go for 2 months so that I'm not rushing. So hopefully I can go to a city and work for half a day and then play for a day, and take my time a little bit. And then I'm just going to have to plan some things out where if I'm doing live or recorded trainings, that I'm in a place that actually has internet.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It just sounds amazing to us, though, being in a different spot whenever you want.
It really does. And when you talk about, it's funny because you're talking about the exact things that me as an IT techie nerd,
would be thinking about.
I'm thinking we're going to have to get some sort of little satellite or something because I have to be able to have internet access wherever we are.
We're going to look like some of those conspiracy people that have the huge satellite on top of the RV so that, we can always have access.
Right. But in all honesty, just hearing you talk about what you do and don't have, because my vision has been, and, I guess the reality of it will be what it is once we try it out. But my vision has been, even in the job role I have now, before COVID, much like yourself, I was already at least 75% out of the office, traveling to other offices, maybe the rest of the time, and a little bit of the time in my actual office. So very similar to you, my thought is during the week, wherever we are, I will work just like I normally do. I'm in meetings and calls and video stuff all day long. Then during the weekend, like at the end of the day, Friday, maybe end early on a Friday, we drive to wherever we're going, whether it's an hour away or 10 hours away or 20 hours away, find a place to park. And that's where we are for at least the next week, maybe the next few months, working during the week like normal, back it up, do it again. But that internet thing is part of the thing I've talked about where I'm like, is that going to be a concern?
It is. It definitely is a concern. In the most RV resorts, you're going to have some kind, you're going to have cable, but you're not necessarily going to have hard wired internet, because then you got to, that's like here, it's like Spectrum, it's not
they're going to give you a Wi-Fi password or something instead.
But it's a shared Wi-Fi, and you're not going to be able to do live stream on it. You're only going to be able to, do things that are slow. So I'm just preparing my clients, like no official trainings, all the unofficial impromptu Zoom stuff, whatever, for June and July. Because I'm just learning this past week, I'm not going to have internet. It's not going to work. But
it's good that you have flexible clients like that that are like, okay, we got it.
And most people don't like to do trainings in the summer anyways, because that's when a lot of their employees take time off. Yeah. So advice, consulting, things like that. But we'll figure it out. We'll see. It's when I first got my RV, I did get a trailer, so I brought a vehicle with me. But I've since got a new car and got rid of my Jeep, and I'm like, nope, it's going to be a bicycle. And I realized also last week that I am severely out of shape.
That's relatable.
So time to pick up the pace.
Yep.
Yes. So as we're wrapping up, Wendy, what's next for the HR lady?
Oh boy, what's next? I just want to help as many people as possible, whether they're an employer or they're a person who wants to become a supervisor or manager or leader. I really don't want to write another book.
Sounds opposite of this
opposite
guy.
of me, yeah, of course.
Yeah. No, I really don't. I'm hoping, I'm working on right now releasing a video, effective people management video courses, but they're going to be very short, 30 minutes, down and dirty, and very, very, very affordable for anybody who wants to download them. So I'm hoping to have that first 3 sessions out in the next couple weeks.
So how did you record those? Did you record those there or?
Yeah. Just going to record them. I'll probably just do a Zoom recording, or I also have a video system, Camtasia.
Oh yeah, I'm familiar.
Where you can edit it and everything. But yeah, sure. I find best that I just got to record it via like a Zoom live with or without an audience, because I just do better with that. Like when I've done it in the past, I'm like, oh, edit this, edit that. I'm like, no, this is raw. And I just want it to be super cheap, super affordable. What I find is that a lot of leadership training is, it's great. I do it for other companies that sell it, but there's all these credits involved, and people often take them because they want the credits for their licensing, where that's not who I want to help. I want to help the average Jill or Jack or whoever to say, hey, I want to climb the ladder, or I'm being forced to, or I have an employee who's driving me nuts and I need help.
Yeah.
It's fixing a problem. That's
fixing a problem. That's it. And I just, to the point, I'm like, okay, so I have somebody helping me with that, with the design and development part, but that should be out in the next couple weeks. That's what's next.
Awesome. That's awesome.
So if anyone listening is interested, where can they find you, Wendy?
So the best place to find me is on LinkedIn. I'm on there every day, all the time. Can't help myself. I'm on all the social medias, but LinkedIn is probably the best because you can message me without having to connect with me if you're not comfortable doing that. And then thehrlady.com. All right.
And what about your social media? Is it the hrlady.com as well?
Yeah.
Or is it the HR lady?
Yeah, you could just Google the HR lady, and I'm on I'm on all of them: Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, all over the place.
And as always, if you're listening, you can just scroll down in your podcast player or on YouTube, and all the links will be in the description of the show, so you don't really have to even look it up.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Wendy. This has been great, and we appreciate you taking some time on your Sunday. This is very informative for me. I feel like just in the interview, I've gotten advice I can use in my professional and personal life. And we wish you continued success.
Thank you. I'm off to Dollar General to do some shopping.
All right. Well, have a beautiful Sunday, and we will talk to you soon.
Take care.
All right. Thanks, Wendy.
All right, guys. And hold on for a brief moment, and we will be right back after this break.
All right.
everybody. Welcome back. And we hope you enjoyed that very informative talk with Wendy Sellers, AKA the HR lady.
That was super educational for me.
And I love that she's trademarked the name because that is
smart.
Really cool. Everybody knows her as the HR lady. I love it. She has passion for it. She's just trying to help people. And she has a pretty cool lifestyle set up there to be able to do it. I love that she RVs around the country.
I do too. That's our dream, so that part was interesting to talk to her about too.
I really, really love that. But so it was a good chat.
It really was.
So this will air after my Christmas party that I had.
It will. So you can talk about that.
Yeah. So we finally got to get together for our company Christmas dinner. A little late, but that's okay. And we had a really nice dinner at Fleming's with our whole team. And I just wanted to give a shout out to WynnStyles, Shanta at WynnStyles right here in Apopka, because I'm not a fashion diva, but I stopped in and she helped me pick out a very nice shirt for the, I did have to go elsewhere to buy pants because I told her she needs to sell pants for short people. We have this chat every time I'm in there. I'm like, I have to get them hemmed. I love them, but when am I going to get it? Let's face it. Do we see stuff hanging in my closet that
I know I'm the same way, but you looked great. So that was a nice outfit. I
love that shirt. And what I loved about her is that, I picked out 2 black shirts to try on, and she's like, usually I only let people pick out one of the same color. So she was trying to encourage me to,
get
add
more.
Something else in. So
to do what? Sorry, I spoke over.
To add something else besides black into the fitting room. But if you guys want some cute fashion, make sure to check out WynnStyles right here in Apopka, and we'll put a link in the show notes to it as well. And then one more thing that I wanted to shout out is I got a message from Charlie Pioli. He runs O-Town Compost down in Orlando.
Yes, we've had him on the show before.
Yes, and they just added more zip codes to their composting service.
Oh, nice.
So I'm going to share the zip codes. I think it's mainly kind of the Lake Mary Longwood area.
Right.
So hopefully they'll be coming to our area soon. No. He put another note in that this area would be interested. So we have 32779, 32771, 32746, 32750, 32701, 32773, which I think is Sanford.
Wow, they added a lot more.
So he added a lot more area. He's growing.
That's awesome.
Getting people to compost their food scraps and making a lot less food go into the dumps. I can't get it out. Whatever. Stop laughing at me. Anyway, Charlie, thank you for what you do for our community.
Yes.
And hopefully our zip code will be added in there soon. But
I hope so too.
Yeah, you guys check out O-Town Compost.
Yeah, and I had just one quick thing I wanted to mention. I think we did a commercial episode or 2 ago for them, but I wanted to mention No Moore BBQ Rub. Right now, they are so popular that they
are selling out.
They're selling out. So I know new stock is coming, but we've tried it on a few different things now, and it's so good. And I can't wait to try it on maybe smoking some ribs like slow smoking the ribs. But it's No Moore BBQ Rub. That's put a link in the show notes here, but it's No Moore with 2 O's in the word more. So
like
M-O-O.
Their last name. I love it. Very Jason creative.
Yeah, good stuff. Small business. Help support them. Try it out. And if you enjoy it, go to the website and let them know that you heard about it here on the show.
Yes.
And I think that's it for now.
Well, that's it. Except for, guys, if you enjoy the show, please make sure you subscribe. And then a rating and a review would be wonderful. We very much appreciate it.
Indeed,
it helps us become more visible to those in the community and even farther everywhere, really.
Oh, and it's a good opportunity to thank those of you that have done that since we started saying that, or seeing some new reviews come in. Thank you so much. If you do a rating or a review, it's most helpful for us if you do that on Apple Podcasts. Even if you don't have an Apple device, you can do it on the Apple Podcast website. And I'll put a link in the show notes for that too.
Oh, great. And guys, give us a call at 407-490-3899 or email us at feedback@fineanddanjee.com if you would be interested on being on the show, or if you know of a nonprofit or a local business or artist, author, or someone that is very talented that you just think would be a good fit for the show. We'd love to have them on.
We would. And we also want to remind you guys of something else. We used to say this at the end of every show, and somehow I think we don't say it at the end of every show anymore, but we really want to start doing it again. We just want you to stop and think for a minute. What are you doing in your own life to help people in your community, to help people when you're out and about? You know, you can do everything from volunteering your time to giving money or raising money. But if that's a little off the scope for you, it could be as simple as just being kind to people when you're out and about, smiling at people, hold the door. You know, it's like everything you do, it could help someone's life in some way, even if you're just helping them for the day.
That's right. Just a little smile, like you said, that can really change somebody's day sometimes. They could have been having a bad day and you were kind and smiled at them and they're like, wow, okay.
Now, at this time of COVID, when we're recording this, everyone's wearing a mask.
Smile with your eyes.
Smile with your eyes. Give them a thumbs up.
Or say hello.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Something that they can hear.
But the time will come when we're not wearing masks again. And maybe you're listening to this episode then. But yeah, you know, the sentiment is the same.
That's right. And guys, all of our social media, you can find us under Fine and Danjee. And we just appreciate each and every time you tune in to listen. And we love helping local, small, family-owned businesses or local artists. You know who we love to help bring exposure to, and we want to keep on doing it. And 100th episode is coming up, so we're super excited for that.
Yes.
And also remember, at the end of each and every day,
it's all fine and dandy. We forgot to get a smile picture with Wendy.
Okay. You want to smile then?
I'll steal this out of the video. All right, good deal.
Hey guys, welcome back. And we hope you enjoyed that very informative talk. Informative?